Welcome back to First Education. This is Ed. Today, I'm going to be talking about SoFi. Now, on this one, I'm going to be really referring towards the anticipated quarter coming up for the earnings, and then a bit of technical analysis on what I think about this one. So, without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So, SoFi. Now, I did cover this one before, multiple videos, I think a couple of them. My last one is in the description below, but today, let's dive right into the previous quarter performance. So now from a member's perspective, you have 7 consecutive quarters of accelerating year-over-year growth. As you get to see, almost every quarter has seen an increase than the previous quarter, and we do anticipate that quarter 2 2021 will also continuously see member growth in thousands. So that would be something to look for. Another thing here is that the total products numbers in thousands has also seen a continuous increase quarter over quarter, and we anticipate that to follow as well with the financial service products in thousands increase. Now, in terms of the Galileo accounts, the massive accounts in millions, those ones reached 70 million accounts, and you get to see there has been somewhat of a growth as well, not as massive as the general members growth, but still almost the same pattern. And in terms of guidance, comparing it to actual for quarter 121 net adjusted revenue and adjusted EBITDA, we see that the guidance goes from a low point of $190 million to $195 million. Their actual for adjusted net revenue was around $216 million. So that's really good. And in terms of the adjusted EBITDA, the low side was around -3% and the high side was around 1%. They actually beat it at an adjusted EBITDA margin of around 2% at around 3 more million and 132,000 higher adjusted EBITDA than their higher side. So that's definitely really bullish, and we're going to take a look quickly into the guidance. But a quick thing is the quarterly adjusted net revenue in millions. You get to see here that went 86 million in quarter 1 2020, quarter 2 136 million. So you get to see there is generally an increase from quarter 1 to quarter 2, but you get to see there was a drop in quarter 4 2020, and I believe this was a result of their listings itself, not more of a result of adjusted or different businesses practices that has occurred. So I think that they still have a continuous growth in the annual adjusted net revenue, and we're going to see that in 2021 hopefully. On another part is the quarterly adjusted EBITDA in thousands. You get to see that quarter 2 has been better than quarter 1, and last year quarter 2 has negative at that level. And you get to see currently quarter 3 to quarter 4 to quarter 1, 2020 and 2021 respectively, has been decreasing a little. And I do anticipate as well that could be part of relating offerings or the listing of the stock in general and the expenses of thereof. In current 2021 guidance is sitting at an adjusted net revenue of around $980 million with an annual growth of around 58%. The adjusted EBITDA is anticipated to be positive at 3%. Now, this is a really important one because adjusted EBITDA would be one of the only times or one of the first times it's going positive for a while now. So 2018, 2019, and 2020 were not actually positive. So that would be very, very important for the next earnings. In terms of the guidance, now on the low side for quarter 2 2021, the adjusted net revenue is around 215 million. On the high side, it's sitting at 220 million. On the adjusted EBITDA part, it's around 8 million loss to 2 million profit. So hopefully they're going to be able to break ahead and provide better results in terms of the actual than the guidance. The current earnings is happening on the 12th of August 2021, and you're able to take a look into this one, add it to the webcast or whatever options you have here. Before moving forward, if you would like to see more content like this, make sure to click the subscribe button on the bottom right corner and leave notifications on. Also, don't forget to drop a like to this video. And if you would like to as well join our Discord where we just chat almost all day, it's in the description below, totally free. In terms of SEC filings, we do have one that was put out on the 6th of August, and we get to see that there are 63.5 million shares registered with a proposed maximum offering price of around $15.53. And so in relations towards this one, the current market cap is $12.77 billion. So you get to see that that would be somewhat of an addition at an additional $1 billion. in terms of the maximum aggregate offering price. So in terms of dilution, that would be perhaps 1/12. If they actually go ahead, this is very normal that they raise these kind of shares, whether it's for warrants or for anything in between for the future. So it's not really a red flag, so just keep that in mind. This is more of just a normal thing a lot of these companies do. In terms of institutional buyers, though, institutions remain somewhat bullish into this one. You get to see multiple thousands of shares, if not millions, being added in August and in July. A few of them has reduced their shares. For instance, here IMC Chicago went for shares instead of options. So there has been some adjustments for some of these shares. And on the short interest part, it's currently sitting on the short volume closer between 35 to 42%, or actually 52% also. This gives you usually an indication of the short percentage or the short interest of the stock. The current short flow is not available, but you're able to see at least that the short volume is at least 1/3 going to the short side of any given day. That's a fair assumption. Let's move on towards technical analysis now. Now, from a technical analysis perspective, on the one-day perspective, the first thing I do want to take a look at here is the MACD. So you get to see the MACD, which is based on volume indicators, is actually going on towards the positive side. That's a really bullish thing because it shows momentum is driving towards the buying side, and that's really nothing more than volume and momentum. So it's definitely showing that the anticipation for the earnings are appearing to be somewhat bullish, and it is almost a ticking bomb relating towards this one. And on terms of the William percent R, which is very similar to a relative strength index, it's showing that this one is overbought, which is not really a bad indication if you were to take into consideration everything in between. There's a news ticking, the earning news. And overbought means that there are more buyers than sellers in these few last days. And in this momentum, it just shows there's more demand onto this one because they anticipate a bullish earnings. So that is pretty good. Usually it's a bad sign, but I'd say at the current time, it's good. Now, the next thing I do want to cover is Fibonacci retracements, and the reason why I like this one is because high-frequency traders use it, and they also somewhat control the market. So, right onto here, you're able to see that the current support level is around 1438. Below there, it's a $10 level. Resistances are at 1702, 1916, 2130, 2435, and around $28. Now, if we were just to take a look at supports and resistances, currently, right onto here, there's a very important support sitting at the 1642. Below there, you're looking down to around the 1630. Below there, 1607. Below there, 1579. Below there, 1553. Going down to 1520, and then down to 1499, and then down to 1469, and then we start going down to around 1263, and then down to 1204, 1128, and 1092. In terms of significant resistances, currently, it is testing one of the most important resistance levels, 1687. That's one to write down. Below, or above there, my bad, is 1722. Above there, you're looking into 1756, 1794, and then we start jumping upward higher to 1923, and then 1995. And then above there, 2062, and then 2165, 2268, 2329, 2386, and 2451. Comes to the question to Ed, what do you think about this one before you lose your voice? Well, honestly, I do think that the earnings will be massive. It's going to be a really kind of a positive news because I do really anticipate them beating the guidance. They've been really good at that. They've worked really hard, and it really shows in their fundamentals and growth. It's one of the only companies that I can see them increasing their growth, increasing everything as anticipated, even through the pandemic without a hurdle. So that's on its own a very bullish thing. Now, in terms of what the price action is going to be around earnings, be careful because I do anticipate closer to the 12 right before, you probably will see the stock price jump. But what usually happens, even with good news, is that it could jump momentarily for good news for an hour and then drops. And you might think, why? Why would good news bring in a stock drop? Well, because honestly, a lot of people, traders or investors or whatever it is, start thinking that, okay, what's the next thing? Oh, we just had earnings. I don't know what the next PR is, but take a look at that risky stock that might get an FDA or not for the 20th time. Let me just put all my money in there instead, and they pull up their money from here. And so that is the stock market in a nutshell. So it's buying the rumor, selling the news. So you got to be very careful because the earnings might drop it. Now, in some rare cases, the earnings is attached with some good news that isn't anticipated relating towards earnings, let's say a new business adventure, and the stock price shoots up. But often than not, it does drop right after. And you got to be very careful of that. And I hate it. For instance, why would good earnings with good growth mean a stock drop? Sometimes it occurs, and you got to be very careful about that. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you're still here on this video, make sure to drop down below and join our Discord. We have a lot of different things going on, including, for instance, members that gives picks for free. It's not pump and dumps, we just things we think about, swings, etc. We also have really exciting bots. You can actually use those ones. For instance, we're just testing out this bot, for instance, that gives you Fibonacci resistance points, activities, etc. And we have a bunch of free things, totally free. We run on tips here, and you can ask me questions, suggest stocks, etc. It's a really nice community that has been growing up very fast at a very good rate, and it's totally free. If you would like to join that one, feel free to do so in the description below, and have a wonderful day.